We will talk about the stress now. We'll move forward to talk about the stress and the issues of the stress. And the issues of the stress. I can see here. The stress. There are symptoms for the stress, for the acute stress. Yes, rapid pulse, rapid respiration, increased blood pressure, lump in the throat, butterflies in the stomach, dry mouth, sweaty palms, sore muscles, perspiration, nausea, diarrhea, urinary frequencies, urinary urgency, difficult sleeping, change in appetite, and change in weight. Those are some symptoms of the acute stress. Those are symptoms of acute stress. So the stress here has its own four forces. Stress, the body stress, the mind stress, the behavior stress, and the emotional stress. The body stress appear in a figure of fatigue, headache, tooth muscles, skin irritations, frequent infections, and constricted breathing. Type. The stress of the mind is worrying, always worried, indecision, negatively, foggy thinking. Foggy thinking means not clear, not white, not black. Uh, in between, like you cannot see very well. A foggy thinking, hasty decisions, and impaired judgments. This is for the stress results of the stress effect on the mind. Stress effect on the behavior. The third part, stress effect on the behavior, like substance abuse, loss of appetite, accidents prone, restlessness, and loneliness, and insomnia. So these are the things which is the stress above the human. Also, there is stress on the emotion stress, and the symptoms will be loss of confidence, apprehension, indifferences, depression, irritability, and insomnia. Those are the stress and the stress effects. So now we will go into, say, define stress, and this is the first question today. And what are the types of stress and its symptoms? So what is that stress? What's its own, like, what are the symptoms of the stress and the types? The stress, the types, and the symptoms. This is a very important question because simply it's including many points here. So we just want to see these points, how it looks like. Define stress, what are the main, what are the types of stress, and what's its symptoms, how it looks like its symptoms. So here, please, you can get the answers from this place. I will stop here for around 5 minutes to get your answers before we move forward to another point. So this was about the stress. And we know now there's a body stress, mind stress, emotional stress, and behavior stress. And we talk also about the definition of stress and types of stress and the symptoms of each type, like I showed you here. For the body and symptoms for the mind, like worrying and indecision and so on. For the emotions, like loss of confidences, and for the behavior. Now we will go into another point, which is lack of control. One of the main problems also is the lack of control. Some people experience stress when they feel they cannot control what happens to them and to the environment around them, and they instead have to depend on someone else. For example, loss of work, economic hard time or hardships, economic hardships, like the economic has its ups and downs, violence, illness, discrimination, and death of a beloved one. These are all reasons for stress. And in that case, as a consequently, for the stress, there will be lack of control. Lack of control. Let us say whatever say, this is something about the stress. The sources of the stress, like you see here in front of you, like you see here, I'll just enlarge it. We have actually a lot of reasons for this as a sources of stress. So I will start with the psycho-spiritual stress reasons, like lack of meaning, hopelessness, and despair. So this is one of the sources of the stress, psycho-spiritual. Financial, like as example, when I'm unable to pay my bills, this will cause me stress. Emotion will cause me financial stress. Emotional stress, like the anger, anxiety, depression, grief, will lead to stress as well. Culture stress, like not speaking a country's language. If you are sitting in one country, like as example, some of the newcomers, they don't know how to talk English, and so they will be stressed until they come to learn how to deal with the people and how to talk. So this is called cultural stress. We have also mental stress. Mental stress, like the mental foggy, lack of focus, you cannot focus, you are forgetting everything. Indecisiveness, also from indecisiveness. This is another point. You cannot make a decision. Social stress, it comes from abusive relationships where someone is attacking you, racist or whatever. Co-workers conflicts. If the workers with you at work are conflicting, someone tell you something and another one tell you another thing, that is a kind of stress as well. Disputes with neighbors, another type of stress. Isolation and rejection, this is another type of stress. Marriage problems, the everyday life in marriage can lead to a stress as well. So these are types or sources of stress. Like we say, psycho-spiritual stress, financial stress, emotional stress, cultural stress, mental, physical and social and environmental, like the noise, the crowding, the air pollution, the crime. All these are environmental issues, which leads also to more stress. School for the small students are a source. Consider schools are a source of stress for the students, since they have homework and assignments and so on, and they have to finish this within 2 hours, this is within 3 hours, this will be done today, and so on. So in that case, school can represent a kind of stress for the students, since they have heavy loads of work. Tests, exams, clinical placements, all these things make them also stressed. Beside the studying, they might have demands from their families and partners and so on, and there is their employees if they are working. All these responsibilities outside of school affect, also increase the stress, because you have to do your assignments, your classworks, and so on. And you have also forces affecting you that will affect at the end in how you do your own job. Okay. What about the conflict? Conflict also is a clash between opposing interests. As example, you have two interests, but one of them is opposing with the other. As example, you want to work and you want to study in the same time. So if you work more, you will study less. If you study more, you will work less, and you need both of them. This we call it a conflict. Where you will go then? There is a conflict with partner, friends, with your objectives itself. There is a conflict inside you with your objectives. Sometimes you have two positive objectives. You cannot know which one you will prefer or favor than the other. Or clients and citizens. People are also experience conflict with themselves when sorting our problems or making decisions. Yes, we see, like I'm telling you right now, how far I will work and how far I will study. Shall I work more or shall I study more? This is also a reason for conflict. What are the reasons that cause the conflict? The reasons of conflict or conflict causes. What are the reasons or the conflict causes? The first one is a poor communication, lack of compromise. Needs are not met. So my needs is not met. Prejudice, intolerance. So there is no tolerance. No, there is intolerance, which is the opposite of the tolerance. Interests, self-interests, ignorance, desire for power, lack of empathy. I don't have someone to tell me sorry or compassionate me or whatever, making assumptions. So all these are reasons for the conflict. Don't forget, these are the reasons for the conflict. So again, we talk about the types of stress or reasons for stress and the symptoms. We talk also about the school as a source of stress for the students. We talk about the conflict. And we said we have two positive objectives and they are contradicting with each other. We have also the causes of conflict. We have the conflict consequences. Consequences is what the conflict will cause or the results or the ends of the conflict. So the conflict will create poor relations and loss of trust, and lack of cooperation with the others. This is like around 20%. All these must equal 100%. When you add 20% plus 14 plus 14 plus 13 plus 13 plus all those will come to 100%. Okay, so the anger is another consequences. We are always angry. People designed, lack of motivation, and so on. Toxic work environment, poor people or views ignored, anxiety, depression, and so on. Project delays, and so on. People leaving jobs, like I leave the job because of the conflict. Bullying, harassments, and violence. Others, like 8%. Poor communication or lack of transparency, that's 6%. So these are the reasons or the conflict consequences. Most of these consequences is the bad relation with the co-workers and your beloved and so on, because this you're always tense and you're always in anger and so on. So this will affect on your relationship with the others. It will affect on your relationship with the others. The daily frustration is everyday life frustration. Frustration can sometimes cause stress. Yeah. Like as example, you're looking for something here and there, and you didn't find, like looking in the morning for the car keys, or you are stuck in traffic and you have work to do, or you have to reach the work by 8 a.m. and you are late now, and so on. So personal support worker also is a human, and he faces all these daily frustration situations. and he must know how to deal with it with patience. He must be passionate and patient also in dealing with such problems. Also, we have the responses to stress depend on many factors. Several factors depend on how you respond to stress. These factors are the agenda, the age, the culture, the perceptions, availability of social supports, cognitive awareness, health, temperaments, or the personality, personality, your personality. Are you able to deal with the stress, or just will let the stress overwhelm you and control you, and the symptoms of the stress will increase with you? Past experience with the same similar stressors. So if you have another experience, previously experience with stressors, this also will affect you. The number of other stressors being experienced. These are the responses for the stress. Actually, we have a stress response, which involves the psychological and biological and psychological mental. It includes both the biological and psychological changes that people experience when they confronted by stressor. So it's two things. We said the urinate, as example, is one of the things which comes from the stress. Change in the bowel system, change in the mood, change in the blood pressure. This is all biological. Mental, like confused, like can't be able to make decisions, feeling frustrated. All these things are also mental. So we have biological and psychological stress response. And the stress response, it might be mild or acute or chronic. So even the stress response might be mild or acute or chronic. The mild stress may be stimulating, accelerating, or motivating. Slightly elevated arousal levels usually enhance performance. That's fine. So those slight amounts of stress will affect the performance. Like you see, sometimes people are stressed and they quit from their jobs. They don't want to work anymore and so on. Acute stress suddenly causes a very high arousal levels. Chronic stress causes a high arousal levels over a long period of time. So when we come to see, we'll find that both acute and chronic stress can result in a variety of psychological, biological, and physiological and psychological effects. It will go into physiological and psychological effects. So biological and psychological effects that may be short or long run. So those are, but the first time type is mild, is not that affecting so much. The mild one, the mild stress will not be very effective, but the problem in the acute stress and the chronic stress, because these might affect on the human on the long run, the acute and the chronic ones. Sometimes also you as a PSW must know that elder people, the people when they become elder or getting more old, stress will increase with them. Stress is going to increase with them. And the reasons for this is very easy. First of all, they might, because they got the stress because of the following. Loss of spouse, as example, I'm married and I'm living with my wife for around 60 years, and all of a sudden she passed away before me. Then in that case, this will make a kind of stress for the human. Economic worries as well. The worries of the economic situation. Economic is having its ups and downs. And for that reason, sometimes there is like a kind of inflation, sometimes there is a recession and so on. And this also affect on the people, how to earn their living and so on. This affect the economic situation, will affect them also. Loneliness and isolation also, the loneliness isolation will also increase the stress because of the person when he becomes aging, he feel more loneliness, especially when he lose his beloved. So the sources of stress in the old age are loss of social rule, family financial difficulties, bereavement, the social isolation, physical and mental disabilities, and loss of independence. I can't be independent anymore. So I have to be dependent on the other people to bring for me a cup of water or to help me to change my bed, clean my room, make my room tidy. I have rheumatoid and I cannot move, my hands cannot move, and I cannot even grab myself a cup of water. I need the people, I need someone to open for me the microwave. I need someone to do this. I have Parkinson, I cannot hold something. I need someone to help me in holding this stuff. So I'm no more independent. In that case, of course, this will cause stress. This also increases stress in the category of the old people, So these are the sources of stress in old age. The chronic stress have symptoms, yes, like extremely irritability, fatigue, we said this before. You cannot concentrate very well. You have rapid thoughts, too much thoughts comes to you in your mind and go, and another thoughts comes and so on. You have problems like digestive problems. You have digestive problems. You have also chances no any more appetite to eat. You don't like to eat too much, or changing your habits of eating. Feeling helpless sometimes also, that you feel no one is there to give you a hand. The self-esteem, which we said one of the needs, or the needs of Maslow, Abraham Maslow's needs, self-esteems here will go down, low self-esteems. Also, sexual desires are going to a down level, and nervous, always you are nervous. Also, frequent illness and loss of control as example. So these are the symptoms of chronic stress. And the chronic stress, like we said, chronic and acute stress, both of them are very dangerous on the long run. Both of the acute and the chronic stress are very dangerous on the long run. We said the anxiety and how it looks like. And so this is the talk about signs of emotional and behavioral stress. We said anxiety, depression, anger, worry, fear, burnout. So when the stress increase, it reaches to a limit, we call it burnout. Irritability, loss of self-esteem like self-respect, how you want the others to look at you. You feel yourself that you are, by simple meaning, you feel that you are downgraded. You are down. This is the point of the loss of self-esteem. Fatigue, dissatisfaction, forgetfulness, always you are forgetting, poor concentration, difficulty focusing on following directions, emotional outbursts, smoking, drinking, talking about the stressors. Always you talk about the stress. These are the signs of emotional and behavioral stress. Signs of emotional and behavioral stress, like you see here. Signs of emotional and behavioral stress. Yeah. Also, let us talk about something. Do children encounter stress? Of course, they are. Infants and children also react to stressors and may show the same signs of stress as adults do. As example, child under stress might have stomach itches, irritability, changes in appetite, or changes in sleep. From where this will come from? The school as example. School stress, like we said, will cause the student to have these problems. Also, students or the children might not be able to communicate because they are not feeling well with the words itself. But also the change will be in the child's behavior because of the stress will make him with non-ordinary behavior. Also for the children's example, they start crying. The 4 years old child, the 4 years who's very toilet trained very well, but still he will a fully toilet trained 4 years old suddenly begins to wet the bed after his mother becomes seriously ill. So he might see when his mother become ill or something, and he felt that he will lose her, or he felt she's very ill, then in that case, even he will forget about doing the toilet in the washroom, or do a washroom in its place, and he will do it instead on the bed, like to pee on the bed or whatever. Or usually calm adolescents begins to engage in physical fights with peers after his parents' divorce. Like as example, or a usually calm adolescent begins to engage in a physical fights when his parents divorce. We see this always in most of the kids which have family troubles between husband and wife, and you see them fighting, and then when they separated also, he might goes wild like and make physical fights with the sons of the neighbors or in the neighborhood or whatever. He start to make problems. This is also one of the reasons or one of the consequences of the stress. So the family problems leads to this kid or this child into be stressed, and this stress will be reflected in physical fighting or other things we say like I mentioned here on this part. Okay, if there is a way to manage the stress, yes, we have many ways to manage the stress. We said the stress, the most important two types of stress are the chronic stress and the acute stress. So here, how can we manage stress? Develop self-awareness. The first thing is to develop self-awareness. Know what causes your stress. Think about when you felt under stress. What was the source? Does it occur often? After determining your stressors, you need to decide how to eliminate them. So I will know what is causing me stress. Is it the too much work? Is it overworried because of economic conditions, or so on? So I have to deal with it and eliminate this kind of my stress from my mind and just try to move it away or cope with them, or I will deal with them. Okay, if it's about the work, I will do my hard. I will do my work hard. I will do hard work to keep on my situation at the job and so on. Avoid people who has causes you stress. So if there are some people who cause you stress, avoid them. Get away from them. Second thing, take care of your needs. The healthy minds also and body enable people to cope better with the stress. So these things will make the people cope better with stress. Here are the stress management: spa, therapy, music, time management, nature, yoga, meditation, hobbies, exercise. These things is how to get out of the stress. How to get out of the stress. Assert yourself. Non-assertive people say yes to things when they really want to say no. They take on tasks when they have no time for them. They also give it into the demands of others without considering their own needs. Never agree to do more than you can do safely. So don't put yourself that, yes, I can do this for you. It's okay. I will do it. I will do it. And give promises, and because you're trying to make the others comfortable, but this will come upon you. So see first, are you able to do this thing? Are you able to do this task? But don't go on a challenge, because the challenges in most of the cases are one of the reasons for the stress. Stay away of the stress causes. stay away of the stress causes too much as you can. So here, uncertainty is one of the reasons for the stress, so avoid the uncertainty. Be proactive. What can you do to improve the situation? So situations like this, situation is panic. I feel stressed. I don't surrender to these facts. I start to see, how can I get rid of this stress? How can I get rid of the reason for the stress, the reason of the stress? How can I get rid of it? How can I avoid it? Or how can I deal with this type of stress? Refraining or reframing. View the task as an opportunity, not as a threat. So if I say as example that the workload is causing me stress, I will do it with joy. I do my job with joy or with love. So I change it from just something is not favorable for me into something I love it from my heart. I love to do my work. For that reason, that will remove the stress. As long as you do this with positive energy and you change the attitude just from looking to this work as more responsibilities and you hate the responsibilities and so on. No, from inside you, believe in yourself that you love this work, love from your heart and love to do this work. You do this work with love. In that case, you change the lose into win. Best case scenario, focus on what you stand to gain, not what you stand to lose. So check out what you can get, not what you will lose. Get a good night's sleep. Sleep always very well, because when the brain is resting well, then your whole mood will be fine. Talk to someone also. So don't struggle inside yourself. Don't feel silent. Don't feel silent and don't struggle inside yourself. Always try to, because sometimes we get self-relief when we talk about our things, the things which is causing us panic into the others. We feel like we are comfortable when we start to talk to the others about things which make us in a grief or sad. So try to relieve yourself, like satisfy your social needs. Social needs here, the needs of belonging. Brother, mother, sister, father, cousins, nephews, friends, lovers, all this. Try to talk. Try to talk. The talk will relieve part of this pain or relieve part of the sources of the stress. Ask others for help and support. Always ask for the support. You have to accept that you cannot do everything by yourself, like we said before, because this is the main source for stress, that you give promises and you won't be able to achieve it or to conduct it. In that case, no. Try to see things which you can do without giving hopes to the others. Then trying, then after that, you won't be able to do it. So check out also how your family can support you, how your family can support you. Discuss the sharing households duties with your roommates, siblings, spouse, or children. Let them know what you need and expect. And take the time to explain for them why you did like this. Be encouraging and avoid being critical if things are not done based on your standard. Practice calming exercises also, like the yoga and the meditation and so on, that makes the stress down. Also practice calming exercises, and there are a lot of calming exercises which will help you. Practice healthy lifestyle habits in eating, in drinking, in smoking. So sleep enough, avoid smoking, minimize alcohol intakes, don't abuse drugs, don't use drugs, exercise regularly, and reduce caffeine and sugar intakes can lead to better stress management as well. Learn to accept the things you cannot change. So if something I know now that this situation is bad, so I have to accept it as it is. And let me tell myself that is the way it is. That is the way it is. And instead of going on kind of criticizing and always you are blaming the situation and so on, why don't you just look to it as you have to accept it as it is, and that's it. Learn to accept things you cannot change. Learn to accept things which you can accept it as it is. Accept it as it is. Okay, can the PSW manage the stress? Yes. Follow the assignments, sheets of work, remember the client's needs always, because you are there as a PSW to satisfy the client's needs. Know what tasks need to be done first in priority. Set yourself time limits for the work. Develop routines that work for you and for the client. Allow for more time than you need when possible. So always, I'm going now to visit my friend or visit a PSW is going to go as a home care to one of the clients. Okay, I know that the transportations will take like around 30 minutes. I can say I will be there in 40 minutes or in 45 minutes. The reason why? The reason because you don't know what will happen. There might be a problem in transportation or the route, detour in the route or whatever. So in that case, put for yourself a span of time. Be flexible. Not exactly 10 minutes mean that you tell them, I will be there in 10 minutes. Then after that, if you are not able to go within this 10 minutes, this is a big problem and you will be running to go exactly in 10 minutes, like you said. Why? Just increase the time span for yourself for 15 or 20 minutes instead of saying 10. So you can even conduct your target or aim positively and in time without more stress. Before starting tasks, prepare by gathering all the necessary equipments and everything you need. Remind yourself not to get sidetracked by non-essential things. No, give the priority for the most important things first. Don't put things like small things in the way, because this will increase more the objectives, the more objectives, and it might cause for you now to cause you a conflict because of those positive objectives together. Make sure that you have the necessary equipment, like we said, and the supplies. Learn to say no firmly, positively, and tactfully. Use a calendar. So not everything, no, no, no. Know when to say no. Know when to say, I will try it, and so on. Use a calendar to note down important dates so that you will not forget anything of the work. So here you will seek your patient participation. These are points decision making in health setting. So here I will put now a question. Stress is negative experience in PSW work. I will say discuss. Discuss and show how can a PSW deal with sources of stress. So you will tell me what the meaning of stress, types of the stress, consequence of stress, reasons of stress, and how can a PSW deal with these types of stress. So I'll stop here like around 10 minutes to gather your own ideas, try to make your ideas in notes, and to collect points about these sources before we move into the next part. Thank you. I will be waiting here for the answer of this question. I will be waiting here for you to answer these questions inside your notes. To answer these questions inside your note. Please see that you will talk about the negative experience or consequence of stress. You will say, what is the meaning of stress? You will show how can the PSW deal with different types of stress. So you'll say each type and how can a PSW, each type of stress, and how can a PSW deal with this type of stress. Shall stay here like around 5 minutes more. Shall stay here like around 5 minutes more before we go to move to another part.